It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, chilliefalls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast on this, the first day of October 2025, coming to you from my studio in Bedford County, Virginia, right outside of Lynchburg. We've got a lot of stuff to cover this morning, folks. Of course, all of you know the two main stories. You've probably been following it on other media channels, and that would be the government shutdown and, of course, the weather update. But we're going to cover a little bit of both. Couple things before we get to it, however, folks, and let's do the regular intro. Good morning and welcome to the show. It's brought to you by Will U.S., the owner of Scootaround, and by Chillie's Cruises. The main headline today is U.S. government shutdown raises concern for cruise travelers. And of course, like I mentioned, the weather update. Also today, Godparents for the Star Princess. United Express plane skids off the runway. And I have a little story with that one. Norwegian cancels dozens of sailings. Norovirus on Serenade. V giving away 365 free cruises. And a passenger awarded 6 figures from a slip and fall, and lots more live here at 11 o'clock this morning. Today is National Homemade Cookie Day. I like homemade cookies. I especially like homemade chocolate chip cookies. If you ever want to make cookies, folks, and send them my way, come on with it. This date in history, in 1908, that's what was I, in the 3rd or 4th grade then? 1908, the Model T goes on sale for the outrageous price of $825. If you're a podcast person, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcast from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the fat guy. All right. Most of you know about my trials and tribulations yesterday. I took my car into the body shop at the appointment that my insurance company set for me. I had to be there at 8 o'clock. As I usually do things, I got there about 7:45. Now, because there's no way I can deal with my chair in a rental car, and I didn't even know what kind of rental car I was going to get, but I knew it wasn't going to be an accessible van or anything. I don't have them. I put my walker, my rollator, in my car, so when I got there, I pulled into the handicap space, which I'm allowed to do. We've got handicap tags on it, and got my rollator out and rolled over to the front door, which it was 7:45, so they weren't open yet. So I just turned the rollator around and sat down. It was raining, but I was under a little portico, so that was fine. It was comfortable, it wasn't too cold. And I waited till they got there, and they opened the door, and I went inside. The only problem was that normally they send the insurance folks, like I am, next door to the rental place to get the rental car. I said, no. I said, my insurance company, and then the lady from Enterprise that called me said the car would be here. I can't walk over that far, folks. I've got the walker. Yeah, but I don't do more than 10 or 12 steps. Of course, I had my oxygen going. So the lady says, okay, I'll be back in a minute. So she walks over next door and tells him at Enterprise, you got to drive the car around to this guy. Get your paperwork and come on over. So they did. They ended up bringing it to me, and they wanted me to walk around the car to check for damage. I said, hell no, lady. You tell me if there's any damage, I believe you. I got to sit down. So, I mean, I put my walker in the back. It's a nice car, automatic lift gate and stuff in the back. So, easily put the walker in there. But then I had to get to the seat. And she had to show me how to drive the damn thing because it's got a weird shifter on it. It's a Nissan. I don't know what kind of Nissan it is. And then the first time I touched the brakes, I about threw myself through the windshield. Brakes are a lot different than on my car. But, I mean, that's just a matter of getting used to them. But anyway, so I drove on home. Everything was fine. The bottom line on it, folks, I still won't be able to use my chair for the 23 days or so that they want to do it. And I've requested if there's any way to get it back earlier because it has the rack for my chair that I need that to be able to do anything. So they understand that, and all the powers that be know my situation. And they're great people, folks. Crash Champions is the name of the body shop. And the lady at Enterprise was delightful. So I'm very pleased with all of that. The bottom line, though, I got back home and got to think about it a little bit. I did much better on my walker than I expected to do. Now, I don't know if having the walker, which I use not at all here at home, maybe I need to, bring it in the house and start using it around the house. It would be better than me, walking around with nothing and have to sit down every 10 feet to catch my breath. But I guess with using the walker, it took just enough pressure off my bad hips, my bad knee, and my bad back that I was a lot more comfortable and under less stress, even breathing, than normal. So the bottom line is I planned after the show today to ride my chair out to the rental car, which of course is out in front of the house, and get the walker out and walk around my driveway some and get some walking in and see if it can't hurt, and maybe it'll help. So yesterday ended up being a pretty good day. So I was tickled with that. All right. We got a bunch of pretty detailed stories to go over this morning, so let's get started with it. But first, we'll do a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. Okay, guys. We're going to start off with the shutdown.
As of Tuesday evening, Congress remains gridlocked on a deal to fund the U.S. government. Since lawmakers failed to reach an agreement by midnight, a government shutdown began at 12:01 a.m. on Wednesday, October 1, 2025. Most federal agencies would suspend non-essential operations, forcing thousands of government employees into furloughs, while others in essential roles would continue to work without pay. For cruise travelers, the potential impact is limited but still notable. Essential federal employees, including Customs and Border Protection agents, TSA officers, Coast Guard personnel, and port staff, are expected to continue working, ensuring cruise ports remain open. However, these employees would be working without pay until the government reopens, and the situation could create delays or strain on staffing. Essential federal personnel, including the U.S. Coast Guard, TSA, and CBP agents, will continue to report to work, so core port and security functions will remain in place, the Cruise Lines International Association told the Cruise and Travel Industry podcast. Cruise operations and cruise line headquarters, which are privately run, will continue business as usual. The greatest disruptions are likely to be outside the cruise industry itself. National parks, federally operated museums, and other attractions popular with cruise guests could close their doors during the shutdown. Additionally, U.S. passport services would remain available but may face delays due to reduced staffing. Some cruise ports are reassuring travelers. The Port of Seattle confirmed operations will continue even if the government shuts down. Our facilities will remain operational during any shutdown, but many of our federal partners will be working without pay, said Ryan Calkins, Port of Seattle Commission Vice President. We hope those traveling through our gateways will join us in thanking our federal workers for their ongoing professionalism. For those traveling by air, airports will also remain open, with TSA agents and FAA employees reporting to work. Still, staffing shortages could create travel slowdowns, so passengers are advised to stick to the usual guidance of arriving 2 hours early for domestic flights and 3 hours early for international flights. The U.S. Travel Association estimates the nation's travel sector could lose $1 billion per week during a shutdown, but the cruise industry itself is expected to be one of the least affected.
All right, so here's the problem with this, folks. And I'm going to make an editorial comment, which is going to probably piss off anybody that's hearing this. The Republicans are claiming it's all the Democrats' fault. The Democrats are claiming it's all the Republicans' fault. As far as I'm concerned, they're all lying. And I think we need to get rid of all of them. The Republicans and the Democrats. Let's just fire them off because none of them are doing their jobs. And it's going to start hurting the American public. It's going to start hurting the cruise industry. They say not bad, but it's going to. So that's my take on the whole mess. Fire them all. I'll never vote for an incumbent again, ever. If I can't vote for somebody new, I ain't voting. That's just my feelings on the whole godforsaken mess.
Princess Cruises just announced the godparents of their upcoming ship. The star princess will be Camilla and Matthew McConaughey. They will christen the ship during the naming ceremony in Fort Lauderdale on November 6th. To book a cruise on Star Princess, email chillie@bookalaska.net. On American Cruise Line's American Revolution cruise, discover the quaint towns and historic cities that have shaped our nation. Step onto the last battlefield of the Revolutionary War in Yorktown and explore the rich colonial history of Jamestown. Visit the location of the Wright brothers' first successful powered flight in 1903 and experience the 18th century city of Colonial Williamsburg, the world's largest living history museum. Travel to Mount Vernon, George Washington's iconic 18th century home, before returning to our nation's capital to view the many museums and memorials. Free airfare and a $1,200 savings on this 12-day cruise. For more information, email chillie@bookalaska.net. A United Express plane overshot the runway while attempting to land at Roanoke-Blacksburg Regional Airport in Roanoke, causing it to slip away from the landing zone. The incident occurred around 9:18 p.m., the Virginia State Police said in a statement. Upon touching down, the plane did not have sufficient runway to stop and ran off the end of the runway. The plane was landing and did not provide enough braking distance to bring the plane to a stop and continued off the end of the paved runway onto the emergency stopping equipment, the statement continued. Commute Air was operating the flight as part of a United Express route from Washington Dulles International Airport to Roanoke, Virginia. No injuries to the 53 passengers and crew on board have been reported.
Okay, guys, I normally wouldn't make this story on our show of a plane running off a runway at a small regional airport. However, the last picture that was up there of the jet, the fence that was sitting right there, about 60 years ago, on a given Friday or Saturday night, you probably found my car parked against that fence, and my date and I were watching the ship's dock, if you know what I mean. That would have scared the bejesus out of me if a plane had run off the runway then. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that.
Norwegian Cruise Line is swapping the deployment plans for Gem and Dawn in late 2026 and into 2027, with all sailings cancelled as the new plans are confirmed. Norwegian Getaway and Norwegian Joy are also cancelling several sailings in late 2026, but new, longer itineraries will be available for booking soon. Port availability is cited as the reason for some of the cancellations. A cruise guest from India ran into an issue in St. John, New Brunswick, after failing to declare that they were sailing with just over $23,000 in cash. While Canada does not limit the amount of cash visitors can travel with, any amount greater than $10,000 must be declared while going through the customs process. The cruiser had to pay a fine of over $1,000 for their mistake.
Of course, that was Canadian dollars, folks. 1,000 Canadian dollars.
Villa Vi Residences is celebrating its first year of service with a cruise giveaway, the company announced in a press release as the Odyssey kicked off its ongoing world cruise last September. Offering a unique residential cruising concept, the 1993-built vessel has since visited over 138 ports in 46 countries and 5 continents. To celebrate its milestone, Villa Vi is launching the 3657-day cruise giveaway, which begins in October and will give away 365 free week-long cruises. 52 winners per day will be chosen between October 15th and October 21st, via daily drawings. Results will be announced on Villa Vi's website and social media channels. Travelers can enter the giveaway by filling a form available at https://villaviresidences.com/anniversary/. The fall and winter months are some of the best times to visit Las Vegas, with cooler temperatures and plenty of seasonal events to attend. Las Vegas mobility rentals are 15% off until November 30th. Call Scootaround at 1-888-441-7575. Use SRN 11137 or email chillie@bookalaska.net. Carnival Corporation has been ordered to pay $344,051 in damages to a guest injured during a slip and fall incident on board the Carnival celebration in May 2023. The ruling came from U.S. District Court Judge Roy Altman, who found the cruise line liable for unsafe conditions that contributed to the fall. The plaintiff, Vivian Ruiz Rondon, claimed she tripped on an elevated threshold that connected a ship doorway to the hallway on Deck 12. According to the lawsuit, there was a large gap between the carpet and the metal threshold, and Carnival failed to place a warning sign or block the doorway. As a direct result, Rondon tripped and fell, the lawsuit stated. Her right sandal and foot got trapped in the large gap between the carpet and the metal of the loose open doorway threshold, causing Rondon to fall. The fall caused multiple serious injuries, including a fractured right arm, a dislocated shoulder, and partial tears to 2 rotator cuff tendons. Rondon undoubtedly deserves some damages, Judge Altman wrote in the decision. While the payout is significant, it represents a steep reduction from the plaintiff's original $14 million demand. Carnival's attorneys argued throughout the case that the accident was the guest's responsibility. Carnival and its crew members did not owe plaintiff a duty to warn because the alleged dangerous condition was open and obvious, and she should have perceived same through the use of her own senses, said Fowler White Burnett, the law firm representing Carnival. The company has not ruled out the possibility of an appeal. The recent Carnival slip and fall case highlights several important takeaways for cruise passengers and personal injury claims at sea. 1. Cruise lines can be liable for unsafe conditions. Even though ships are private property, cruise lines must maintain reasonably safe environments for their guests. If a hazard exists, like a gap, wet floor, or poorly maintained threshold, and no adequate warning is given, the cruise line can be held responsible. 2. But passengers share responsibility too. Cruise lines often argue that dangerous conditions are open and obvious. If a hazard is visible and a guest fails to avoid it, the courts may reduce the damages awarded or side with the cruise line. 3. Damages may be lower than expected. While the plaintiff in this case sought $14 million, the court awarded about $344,000, less than 3% of the demand. Courts weigh the severity of injuries, medical expenses, and the degree of negligence before deciding final compensation. 4. Injuries must be well documented. Medical reports, photographs, and witness testimony strengthen a passenger's case. The clearer the evidence linking the ship's condition to the injury, the better the chance of receiving compensation. 5. An appeal is always possible. Cruise lines often appeal rulings they disagree with, especially if they feel the incident was the passenger's fault. This can extend the legal process for years. Compass tips for cruise passengers. Watch for hazards such as thresholds, wet decks, or uneven flooring. Report unsafe conditions immediately to crew or guest services. Seek medical help on board if injured. Onboard records matter in court. Document everything: photos, video, witness contacts. Know your rights. Most cruise tickets include fine print about legal claims, often requiring lawsuits to be filed in Florida federal court. When MSC Seascape begins homeporting in Galveston this November, MSC Cruises will roll out an expanded slate of family-focused entertainment and activities designed to appeal to younger generations. New offerings include a LEGO parade with onboard characters, a LEGO family game show with timed building challenges and boxes, a mystery game show with prizes. Other additions feature an updated Doremix family disco with enhanced visuals, a Guinness World Record family quiz, and the MasterChef at Sea Junior's Kids Cooking Competition. Tech-driven fun will include a Formula One PlayStation 5 tournament and quiz o'clock, a trivia format with themed editions for families, teens, and topics such as musicals or U.S. history. Returning favorites will also be part of the mix, such as Break the Wall, where guests complete surprise challenges before a digital backdrop, and Vikings, a history-based game. Interactive events inspired by the ship's original web series Cabin 12006, including the secret game, will blend music, video, and mystery-solving elements. For teens, the MSC Dance Crew competition will give ages 10 to 17 the chance to vie for Dance Crew of the Year, while the Teens Late Show will be produced live from the Teens Club, covering music, TV, guest interviews, and games. Matteo Mancini, MSC Cruises Family Entertainment Director, said the lineup aims to captivate today's Gen Z and Gen Alpha travelers, with immersive digital experiences and interactive programming for all ages. If you are interested in cruising from Galveston, email chillie@bookalaska.net.
All right, that's going to bring us up to the weather portion. I promised you a weather update. Of course, this is in the Atlantic, and we have 2 hurricanes. Actually, they've kind of flipped now. Umberto is weakening. However, it's still at 80 miles an hour. Central pressure is 979 and rising. It's carrying about 14 miles an hour, moving to the northeast. Imelda is 90 miles an hour, so it's now the stronger of the 2. Central pressure is 974 and dropping. It's moving to the east-northeast at 20 miles an hour. So the 2 could join forces. It's a rough possibility. As far as key messages, Umberto is dangerous marine conditions, including high surf and life-threatening rip currents, will continue to affect beaches in the northern Caribbean, the Bahamas, Bermuda, much of the east coast of the United States during the next several days. Umberto kicked Bermuda pretty hard yesterday. Imelda is, come here, Imelda, there you go. Imelda is expected to bring damaging hurricane-force winds when it passes near or over Bermuda late this afternoon or evening, getting a double dipper there for Bermuda. Hurricane warning is in effect for the island. Heavy rainfall could cause flash flooding across Bermuda today and into Thursday. Large and damaging wave are also expected on the island. Swells and high surf from both Umberto and Imelda are expected to produce dangerous marine conditions and rip currents along much of the east coast of the United States during the next several days. So, folks, if you're out near the water, I don't know, some of you might have seen, I didn't dig up the picture of it out on near Nag's Head. I mean, it completely washed one of those big fancy houses that are on stilts. Man, it completely just washed one, at least one, might have been several of them, away. All right, so in the Pacific, we still have some action there. Not as severe, but still some action. That is Tropical Storm Octave, currently carrying 60 miles an hour winds. Pressure's dropped to 996 and falling. Its movement is to the north-northwest at 7 miles an hour. It's probably going to just stay out at sea. It could become a hurricane. It's expected to strengthen some during the day today. It's not going to be much if it does, and doubtful if it's going to make it as far as Hawaii. Off the coast, however, is a different story. It's an area of low pressure expected to form off the coast of southwestern Mexico this weekend. Thereafter, environmental conditions are expected to be conducive for additional development. Tropical depression will likely form late this week or this weekend while the system moves generally west-northwestward, parallel to but offshore the southwestern coast of Mexico. 20% chance over the next 48 hours, but then it jumps up to 80% chance over the next 7 days. That's going to bring everything in on Baja California once again into the equation. It's also going to bring in all the ships sailing the Mexican Riviera from San Diego and Los Angeles. So, we're just going to have to, stay on top of it, folks. Keep watching, because who knows how much of this stuff is going to affect us and how much of it won't. So clearly, folks, I've got to stay on top of things this weekend, even though I have not been doing extra broadcasts recently. If something major happens between now and Friday, I'll do another broadcast. I will continue to watch things over the weekend and keep you updated as needed. In the meantime, guys, if you're out there on a cruise, as several of our family are, stay safe. I mean, I know the cruise lines are going to keep you safe as possible, but don't do anything silly. All right, let's go over and see who's in the chat room fussing at me today. I haven't even had a chance to glance at it. Mike's with us. Mike was first one in the house today. That's nice. There's Kenneth. Kenneth, I hope your knee's doing better, my friend. Amy's with us. Sonny's with us down in Mississippi. Katie says, morning, everybody. There's Roger down in Jacksonville. Joanne's with us. Hot Air Tom. Hot Air Tom is down there taking piccolo lessons so he can march with revolutionary folks. Couldn't you see him marching down, blowing a damn piccolo? That'd be great. Chiropractor vacation. I am just arriving at his office. Oh, you're at the chiropractor again today? Wow. Hot Air asked Kenneth how the knee's doing. Kenneth says, well, I was doing better, a lot less pain. doing physical therapy 5 days a week. I can get my knee back to about 102 right now, where it was about 80 before. They had to re-break it. Wow, my goal was 120 to get there, to get back at that level. I want to make sure it's good, so we have it on the cruises. We can do horseback riding and jet ski. I don't want to be limited. Hot Air Tom says Dawn is partying in Jacksonville with the news Chillie said earlier. You're going to try Dawn next fall. Are you asking me? Hot Air Tom, I don't know. I'm looking at all sorts of things right now. We will have to go to Tampa to cruise Jim. Kenneth says, yeah, I'll try that one. I'd like to try some of the new ships too. You should try to take some bowling lessons for when he bowls with us in February. Yeah, Hot Air Tom, you didn't bowl very well when we were bowling last time. I'd like to see them allow me to bowl. That's what I'd like to see. I've never done it from a wheelchair. I still think it's possible without causing a problem. But Sonny says, hit the thumbs up button. Thank you, Sonny. I do appreciate that. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. I hope you've found the show worthwhile. If you have, as Sonny just asked you, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you do that. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. Had a nice little run of new subscribers recently. Always good to have some new folks. I do appreciate it a lot, guys. All right, that's going to wrap me up for today. As always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy. Think about cruising. And hopefully one day soon, we'll all get together on the high seas like a bunch of us are going to do on the Grandiosa February 7th and February 14th next year. Come join us. Call me. Be glad to take care of it for you. All right, guys. That's it for today. I'll see everybody back here on Friday if I don't see you tomorrow. Have a good one, y'all.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chilliescruises.